things have just taken a major turn for the Milwaukee Brewers. A brand new report has dropped revealing a very interesting target for the Milwaukee Brewers heading into this year's free agency, which causes quite a bit of commotion among Brewers fans as well as what the plan is going forward for this Milwaukee Brewers bullpen. We're going to be breaking it all down here in this video. Before we do jump into it though, ladies and gentlemen, I ask you one favor, and that's if you haven't already, be sure to hit the sub button. With the Milwaukee Brewers offseason beginning in a couple of days as the World Series is coming to an end, we have a whole lot of news to bring you. You won't want to miss it, and you're going to have a lot of stuff that's coming your way regarding the Milwaukee Brewers here on this channel. So like I said, be sure to hit that sub button. But we need to jump straight into this. And a recent Sports Illustrated article has dropped a very interesting target. And by interesting, I mean a bit weird in this current circumstance that we are in for the Milwaukee Brewers heading into the offseason. And that name is Ryan Helsely. And when you're looking at Ryan Helsely, Jim Bowden of The Athletic projects that he will land a one-year, $10 million deal in free agency. A bargain for the high upside arm who has already proven he can dominate late in games. Now, at the end of the day, Ryan Helsely is a good pitcher. He struggled with the Mets, but we know what we get of him, especially with his time in St. Louis. Now, when you're looking at him as a target for the Milwaukee Brewers, a team which bullpen is still very good. We saw that be a dominant part of the postseason, even against the Dodgers, who did, pitch phenomenal, played great, but the Brewers had nothing going. But for their bullpen, they shut the Dodgers down in terms of not allowing any runs, multiple strikeouts, and even though a lot of that did come from Jacob Misiorowski, a guy who likely will be in a starting role next season once again, where we saw him this year in the regular season, there is a lot of commotion going on surrounding Ryan Helsely and the Milwaukee Brewers, and a big part of this is due to his price. And as we know, the Brewers don't like to spend too much money, and if they're looking for elite pitching, they would get that in Ryan Helsely, albeit, like I said, struggled with the New York Mets, but $13.6 million average salary is a very good price for a guy who can dominate. And especially with Chris Hook being at the helm of this pitching, it certainly seems like that would be a major boost to Ryan Helsely once again. Get him back to the level he was with St. Louis. And I mean, at 31 years old, he has a lot of time left in this league. And as dominant as he was, he's a guy that certainly will be an interesting target at this price tag. A few things do come up when you look at this as an option. Ryan Helsely with a kind of closing role projection for the Milwaukee Brewers. When you're coming into the bullpen right now, Trevor Megill and Aaron Ashby, Nick Mears, the top paid players for this bullpen. First of all, a significant jump in price for when you're looking at an AAV for the Brewers on the bullpen. Would you want to spend that on Ryan Helsely? I think that's a big question that they will have to answer here before the free agency market do open. But as you're looking at kind of this set of bullpen arms and looking at what's available here, there's, not too much money being allocated to the bullpen, which is a very good sign going forward for the Brewers if they do want to go ahead and get a big name guy like Ryan Helsely at a pretty cheap price tag, or if they would like to spend a little bit more. I think there's a lot of options there that will have to be answered here, of course, in the offseason, see how things do play out, see if we get something from Matt Arnold about this idea and come out about what they want to do. But another thing is, when you're looking at this bullpen, they do have quite a few options as a closer. And when you're looking at Ryan Helsely as one of these options, of course, he is a guy that has a lethal fastball, has that really with the slider as his 1 and 2, really just a two-pitch guy. Of course, he does have a changeup and a curve, but really, it's just slider, fastball. Velo is, at the 99th percentile, 100 plus is usually what he throws in that instance, with an absolutely disgusting slider. So he's a guy that, of course, with his two pitches, can really dominate a game. We've seen it before, and, I feel like a broken record, but it really is at that level. And good whiff percentage, good everything on that front, but when you're coming down to a guy like Ryan Helsely, if the option is there to have not just him as a two-pitch guy, but also as a closing option among some other names, Abner, Uribe, and Trevor Megill, the question is who would close, what the plan is, because Abner really seemed to take over here at the end of the season with the injury to Trevor Megill, and at the end of the day, I feel comfortable with that. And would you be really comfortable using Ryan Helsely as either a closer or even a setup at that instance? I think there's a lot of questions surrounding that as to, first of all, once again, what the plan is in the bullpen. If you would like to add some more names, someone who can come in, right after your starter to go and set things up for later in the game, or would you have another name that you would like to see come out of the bullpen to close a game and have two setups in Trevor Megill, Abner Uribe, then Ryan Helsely? We don't see many pitchers among the MLB really go 50-50 on a closer, or many teams, I should say, go 50-50 on a closer, you have a few teams that will come in and really use someone if it's a little bit of a bigger lead. But at what point would you consider, swapping these guys out? So that's one big question, at least I have right now for this Brewers team, especially going into next season, where their starting pitcher is going to be very interesting. They're going to want to try and get another starter to add into such a young group, and there's a few names that we're going to be touching on in the next few days, in the next few videos, but I am curious to see how things really do play out with Ryan Helsely among some of these names that you do see, at least right now, in this, in this system, in the bullpen for the Brewers. Now, like I said, there's been struggles in Ryan Helsey's career, mainly last year with the Mets and over his time with the Mets, but one thing that I did notice, and as you guys know that I love to kind of break down a little bit, is the arm angle. And with a guy who throws so hard and the guy whose break is very good on his really, only other pitch outside of the fastball on a slider, he did have an interesting arm angle that really came down to a lot higher over the past 2 seasons. And when you saw him earlier in his career in the 21, 22 years, throwing at really a 104, kind of not average necessarily, but topping out of that quite often, he had a much lower arm angle compared to the 62 arm angle that he did have, 62 degree that is, arm angle over the past few seasons. And I wonder if you're looking at a guy who throws so hard, you're seeing it come over the top more, if the pitchers can read it a little bit more. Of course, as you get older, you're going to have to change the arm angle and whatnot, but I'd once again wonder if Chris Hook can come in here, evaluate this, break it down, see where some things changed with these new, of course, advanced analytics, where you see every single pitch is on video. You can break it down from 90 different perspectives and see how it does really result in whatever the result would have been from the pitch. So I'm curious to see if this is one big thing that his game that would need to be changed to get him back to the level he was with the Cardinals and whatnot. But once again, going back to the pitches, the curveball, the cutter, not a changeup, a curveball, cutter, fastball, slider. You see the percentage of pitches: 56 curveball, 13 cutter last year, 432 and 452 slider, fastball. It really goes to show the emphasis he's putting on him, but being able to throw those into the mix, kind of hiding a cutter behind a fastball, being a significant margin. You could almost count that as a changeup moving in the opposite direction than his fastball. Curveball's much slower than the slider, still a very similar movement, and having that be a little bit more extreme than the slider. He's an interesting pitcher, and especially very tough for some batters who are used to guys throwing gas, but also someone that can come in here and have a big sweeping slider, big sweeping curveball, whatever it may be in that time. So I'm curious to see if Ryan Helsely, you think, is an option for this Brewers team. As of right now, I think it's going to be something that they need to look at necessarily and come into, the advanced analytic department and see, because as we look at the bullpen right now, not too many names I would trust to come in here. A lot that I would most certainly, but to close out a game, there's really the two. And is that more than enough? I think it certainly is. But as you know, Ryan Helsely, very good pitcher, and at the price tag that he is, around $13 million, with some other names coming out and having him around the $10 million mark, I think that the Brewers will certainly have to take a look at him, especially at that price tag for what you're getting, knowing that this Brewers team doesn't want to spend too much money. But when you're looking at it, there's a lot of names that here may move into the starting rotation, that may jump into a bigger role here in the next season. But as of right now, I think the Brewers are in a very good spot, and having the options in the bullpen and the starting rotation in free agency are going to be something that we have a lot of focus on heading into the offseason. So let me know what you think about, first of all, seeing Ryan Helsely in a Brewers uniform. Second of all, how he would perform in any instance that they would put him in. I'm curious to see what you guys think about that. But that is all I have in this video. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button as well. I'm signing out though. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.